Hiya folks, welcome to Parapulse TV. Today we're in Lakefront Park in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, and we're going to spend some time talking to James Borg. He's a good friend of mine who has had many UFO experiences, sightings, and other experiences of the paranormal in his life. Now James has some other plans that we're going to talk about later, but right now we're just going to subject him to the same three questions that we ask everybody else about about their sightings and what they feel about the media coverage of it. So, with no further ado, here is James. Hello, James.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
We're good, thanks. Okay, so James, in your life, would you say that you have ever seen a UFO?
Many times.
Many times. Okay.
Once anyway. Age 9, my very first UFO sighting. I was in Brampton, Ontario. Just trying to think of the area. It's, I guess, northeast Brampton. 1977, summer. It was a field, there was a plaza. There was, I think it's Torbram Road and Highway 7 there, Queen Street. And we went to the Becker's variety store. It was a Friday night. We were running out of chips and milk. That was the reason why we went down. And I was 9 years old. My sister was with me. She told me to stay in the car, which I did, and she ran into the variety store. To my right, in the car beside us, there was two teenagers making out, blah, blah, blah. I look up, and I see something really weird in the sky. It was nighttime sky already, so the time was probably around 9:45, almost 10. And it's the sky. It's like a rectangle in the sky.
Yep.
So about maybe 200 by 600 feet in the sky. And through this square in the sky that had different color than the sky, I seen thousands of lights going through that looked like orbs. Just going through. All in one direction. And so I'm like, whoa. I didn't know what to think. I've never seen that before in my life, and I'm only 9 years old. And so they did, and they went like, whoa, right? So before you know it, we all get out of the car, and we're staring up at this thing, watching these lights go through. And of course, by then another car comes in the parking lot, and it looks kind of weird. We have 3 kids looking up in the sky at something, and then he stops, he gets out of the truck, and he's looking at something. By the time my sister rolls out with the groceries, she's giving me shit. Get back in the car. I told you to get back in the car. I go, Liz, look. And she's looking. And we all see this rectangle in the sky with all these lights going through. Make a long story short, she gets me in the car and we drive off. She goes, don't ever tell your brother-in-law about this. He'll think we're nuts. And that was the end of that. That was my very first UFO sighting.
Okay. And was it ever reported, officially reported to any sighting agency? Because you were 9 at the time.
I was 9 years old.
And you were told to keep your trap shut anyway, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So so we can move on from that. Now, the second most important sighting in your life, you would say, is?
I was in Mississauga, my family home, probably circa 1994-ish. Having a smoke outside in the backyard, looking south towards Lake Ontario, but about, I don't know, 6-7 kilometers in. I seen a star-like thing go zooming by, and it stopped, and then did like a check mark and fly off again. I'm like, holy, wow, right? Holy, you know what, right? And then I went inside. It was kind of funny. I decided to report it, right? I figured, hey, we're being invaded, I thought, right? This is the first thoughts that ran through, I'm being invaded, right? So I went in, I don't know who to call, so I wanted the number for, I guess, the Army, right? So I phoned the local police, right? I didn't phone 911, I actually called them.
Directly to the police?
Directly, right? So I said, listen, I said, I'd like the number for the Army, because I think I seen a UFO, I'd like to report it.
That should be an interesting call. What happened next?
He hung up on me. Right?
Yours, okay.
So I called again. Got the same guy. I said, listen, I called before. I said, you hung up on me. I said, I'd like to report a UFO. I don't know who to call it into. Right? He hung up on me again.
Shit.
Now I'm got kind of mad, right? So I phoned the third time. He answered again. I go, look, I'm not fooling around here. I seen a UFO. I'd like to report it in. Whereupon he promptly said on the other end of the line, he goes, look, you have a nut job. He goes, if you phone back again, I got your call traced. I'm going to come and arrest you for disturbing the peace. And then I hung up on him.
Yeah.
So that's as far as it went.
As far as that went. And again, the most convincing aspect of the sighting?
Oh, yeah, it's nothing. It was about as big as a star.
Right.
So as if you see a star in the sky, stars don't move, right? So this thing moved, and then it stopped.
Yeah.
And then did like a check mark, like
right.
a V formation. Right?
So maneuvers that were impossible by
a plane or a helicopter.
Right. Okay, so that's two. You got a third one. You're at 24 now. I think we determined 26 now. We determined. So next in your life was what was the next convincing evidence?
Yeah. So so let's bring it up to about age 35 now. And I had a couple other smaller ones like the star-shaped sightings. Nothing major. It kind of like say what did I see? You kind of made you feel like that. What did I see? And it was kind of like you're trying to be a skeptic to yourself,
yeah.
saying, well, did I actually see since then? At 35, I started becoming a ghost hunter, a ghost investigator, and doing ghost investigations and studying the paranormal. I've always had a deep interest in the occult and the paranormal and the supernatural. And
just to clarify for people, you are not a Satanist.
No, definitely not.
You had an interest in the occult.
The occult,
yeah,
yes.
To find out what that realm is about, and
exactly.
not be ignorant. Fair enough. Okay, continue, please.
And so we had a lot of ghost sightings, and we had a lot of other sightings that also accompanied us. During the time, my colleague was also an alien abductee. I wish not to say his name because we had a falling out. But anyway, from there, we had a lot of ET sightings. Crazy. So what I mean about ET sightings, so we go on a ghost investigation. I guess the first one we had was in wintertime. We went to a place called Magnetic Hill in Burlington. Actually, we had two sightings in Magnetic Hill on two different occasions. The first one, I think, was, well, when we went there as a group, ghost hunting. And this was really weird. We parked the car, and there was an open field about the size of I guess a football field. And for some reason, I decided to take a walk. I don't even know why I did the walk. I went for a walk. So I kind of went around the field like that and got over here. They're over here. It's about, what, maybe 100 yards.
Okay.
And I lit a smoke, and I hear the commotion of my friends. And they're freaking out. Wow, a lot of noise going on, and they're flashing the cameras, taking pictures. So I'm staring at them. They're across from me, and they're taking pictures. Anyway, when I get back, they're calling me back. Jim, come back, man. So I came back, and one of the digital photographs, they got a humanoid being that looked like he was on fire. Like a burning man.
Okay, so the being was on fire. They got a picture of a being on fire. Yeah. Okay.
So that
was the being, how tall would you estimate he was?
I would have guessed maybe about 6'1". So there was a couple other sightings as well, ET related. When we went ghost hunting, when we were doing the Science of Ghost Hunting, with a TV show in the 2000s. And when we were recording that, it was a street called Locust Street in Burlington, Ontario. Behind Locust Street is a graveyard, a very old graveyard. I think it's called St. Luke's Cemetery, St. Luke's Church. And during one of the breaks, the neighbor of the house that we were actually filming in said, you know, I wouldn't mind you guys coming over to my house next door, check it out. I believe it's haunted as well. So we politely said, okay, sure, why not? And we went. And again, my former colleague, who had the digital camera, snapped a picture, and the picture he got was a gray.
Really?
Yeah. So the gray was standing behind a bookcase, like kind of hiding. You can see one corner like that. And he goes, "Jim, look what I got." And I kind of overreacted when I seen the picture. I go, holy shit, right? And when I said that, the homeowner goes, "Well, you got anything? You got anything?" And when we said, "Yeah, we do, but it's not ghost related." And she goes, "Well, what do you mean it's not ghost related?" So we showed her the photograph, and she was floored. And it's gray. So, now, before that, I want to mention too, there's a lot of, like, you're filming me, right? So we're outside right now, and I've had a lot of pictures of myself taken from age 35 prior. Out in Malta, out Florida, Gulf of Mexico, wherever I was, right? So here I am outside, you're filming me outside, and you got a background. So what I started doing when I was a ghost hunter, I was looking for orbs, right? And so I had to look back at all my photo albums, going back in the history of my life.
Yep.
With a magnifying glass, and I'm looking at the background of the sky.
Yep.
And I was really looking for orbs at the time because I was a ghost hunter. What I also found in the photographs, I found about 5 or 6 photographs where I found UFOs in the photographs.
Now, were they orb photographs? Because sometimes ghosts can be orbs.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Were they?
They're a mixture of both. About 5 photographs of purely UFO-related pictures.
Right.
I probably found another 20 to 25 pictures of orb-related photos. It was truly amazing, right? Because I actually had UFOs in the background of the photographs that were taken of me.
Right.
Which really said something to me, like, okay, now it seems like I've been watched for a long time now.
Right. This must have piqued your interest, knowing that you've been monitored or followed or watched.
Immensely. And also, I was my colleague there. I wish I could say his name, but we had a flag out there.
Don't bother if it's not cool.
And but anyway, like I said, he was hanging up. He used to tell me stories, and I kind of learned about stuff like that. We went to a show one day, and I was getting some equipment out of the car, and I had my the car was packed, so I had my hand on the roof of the car, and I was fiddling in with my other hand.
Yeah.
And something went in my finger, my index finger right here, right? And what it looked like was a pine needle, right? A pine needle, like yay big.
Yep.
Stuck in my finger. Well, it looked like a needle, right? So I went out, right? Because I felt it, and I said, what the hell is that? So I pulled it out real quick, right? It was about yay long, right? When I pulled it out, a piece of it broke in my finger.
Oh.
Right there, you can
There's
still
a sliver
see it.
stuck in there.
Yeah, it looked like a sliver, exactly. So I said, okay, I'll worry about it when I get home. I still have the mark of it, actually. If you look carefully, the mark's in there, right? In there, right?
As close as it'll focus there.
Yeah, the mark's right there.
All right.
And when I got back to the place, I was telling my colleague, I said, check, I had like a needle stuck in me. And he said, that's an alien implant. I go, no way. I said, go away, right? He's trying to scare me or something like that. So during the course of the night, this thing starts moving around, right? So now I'm believing, what the hell is it, right?
Now wait a minute. When you say moving around, do you mean you could feel it moving in?
I could feel it and see it moving.
You could feel and see it moving. Okay, that would be enough for me to amputate my finger, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I got my wife, I said, Sue, we got to cut this thing out, right? She didn't want to do it. So anyway, I got my niece out there, and she came the next day. We taped my finger. I burnt a blade, an X-Acto knife, just to disinfect it, yeah. And we cut my finger. And then she pulled it out, and she put it on a ceramic dish, right? Ceramic dish. And we're all looking at it, and within about 5 to 6 seconds, it just disintegrated.
Disappeared.
Which blew us away.
Right.
Just literally blew us away.
Yeah, I've heard similar stories.
And I'm saying, holy shit, I said, it looks like it was an alien implant, like my colleague was saying all along.
Yeah.
Right? So that happened.
Okay, so you were a ghost hunter. You had more belief in ghosts than UFOs simply because you were more familiar with ghosts, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
And had UFO, no, Uforia had not started by then, had it?
No. And then what happened, I was going back to 2002. Yeah, 2002, summer 2002. We had a gathering at my cottage. Like a handful of people come up.
Right.
And we had our first major UFO sighting. And I say ours because my wife was there. She was with me when we seen it. And
I wasn't aware of that. Susan has seen UFO as well. She's had the sighting as well.
Oh yeah, she's probably had about 30 UFO sightings.
Wow. Okay.
Easy. This is how the evening went. It was your Friday, Saturday night at the cottage, Canada, by the lake. We had dinner. We coming down with a bunch of ice cold beers.
Nice.
Right.
That's the cottage.
Yeah, getting the fire started. Right.
Yeah.
And I was out by the dock, and I seen orbs tripping by. So we're probably talking sundown. So that's kind of cool, right? So it's got my attention, right? Just, I'm a ghost hunter. I'm seeing orbs now.
Sure.
Right? It's not fully dark. It's sundown. When sundown hit to nighttime, I started seeing these, again, starlight lights go tripping by. And I was watching them for about good 3-4 hours.
Wow.
Mesmerized. So the time would be around 11 o'clock, 11:30. I was totally hypnotized by them. All right. So I'll tell you how it was really weird. I was standing on the dock with my head up like that, watching these things, calling everybody didn't want to watch. Right. They seen them, but they just weren't interested. By the fire, they're drinking beers or whatever. And my neck was hurting so bad because I was like that.
Training
right?
so long, yeah.
So here's what happened. They all decided to go upstairs to refuel on beer and rolling cigarettes. And when they went upstairs, left me and my wife alone by the fire. So I kind of making out a bit, right?
Okay.
And a little bit of privacy, right?
Yep.
As we're making out, we're French kissing, and top of her eyes, I see this neon green, egg-shaped thing with a brown chestnut window, or looked like a window, but you couldn't see through. It looked like a windshield. So what happened? I said to my wife, "Look at that." And she looked, and as soon as she looked, this thing went zooming up, and it zoomed up so fast, in about 1 second, it was beyond the stars, which totally blew my mind.
Sure.
And the reason why it blew my mind was it was just 1 second. It was gone. It was like bang, gone, like beyond the stars. One freaky time was when I was doing my insurance broker's exam. I got to Brampton, stayed awake for about an hour, then I had a really night's sleep because I had to get up early in the morning, right? This is a major exam, right? A life-changing exam for me. So I went to bed early. When I was asleep, my wife and my kids seen a UFO right through the window where I was sleeping. And they were watching it. They didn't tell me about it. They let me sleep. And I believe God is an omnipresence.
Omnipresent?
Right, omnipresence. Because I haven't met him or her.
Right.
But it's an omnipresence.
Yep.
And it's conscious of everything.
Everything.
It's the all-seeing force.
Yep.
And like you, I don't know what it is. I respect all religions. Well, most all religions.
James, we're going to move on to question 2 now. Close to you, and anybody in your family ever seen a UFO?
Yes.
Okay. Now, starting with, I guess your wife would be the first that you know of. Yeah. Okay. So she's
probably
seen
about 30 times.
About 30 times. You described the first one already to us. So Susan has seen 30 or so. That was on account of 2 of hers. Your son has seen, Eric?
Well, my son's probably seen about 20.
He's seen about 20, and with that one that you described
at the Marlies game.
At the Marlies game, that was the most impressive one. Your daughter?
She's probably seen a good 10 to 15 easy.
And your parents, they ever seen anything?
Yeah, my dad, this is freaky. My dad worked for a company in Toronto back in the 60s and early 70s called McDonnell Douglas.
Sure.
Okay. And he was the head union man there, one of the head union men.
Wow.
Right? So he had access to a lot of areas of the plant where normal people wouldn't go in, right?
Yep.
Some employees were allowed to go in certain areas and some weren't, right? Anyway, he met a lot of people because he was the union guy, right? Union steward or whatever it was. So he heard a lot of stories. One of the stories they heard about was they built 2 UFOs in the 60s. McDonnell Douglas in Toronto, disc-shaped UFOs.
Does this have anything to do with the, what was that? It was
Yeah.
Avro who made
Avro
the circuit.
Aero.
They called it the Avro car,
Yeah.
if anybody wants to look it up. Okay, so go ahead.
So anyway, they built that, and exactly like you said, they had a big, after they built these 2, they had a big champagne celebration, okay? And all the people that worked on UFO were gathered all around it and on the gallery, right, because it's a hangar.
Yeah.
And they tested it. They flew it. It was on chains, and they got it levitated about 4 feet off the ground.
Right.
Brought it back down. Next day, a Hercules aircraft landed and carted those 2 things away somewhere to an unknown location in the States.
Yeah. It's okay. Your dad was involved with the Avro Aero. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's never actually seen a UFO, but he's on record. He was there, like he heard the stories. And all
Like
that.
you're completely open with your dad about all your sightings and your life and things like that.
He introduced the aircrafts, and I was up and close and personal with him.
Yeah.
Because my dad took me in there. Right?
Very cool, man.
And yeah, it was kind of cool. At first, it wasn't because I got scared shitless of the noise.
Right,
The noise
pretty
of
loud
the jets,
inside,
oh,
yeah.
man. And if I was to pinpoint a date, I would say 1971, when my dad started taking me to McDonnell Douglas. Something happened there.
As soon as you mentioned that your dad worked for McDonnell Douglas. Okay. All right. So this is your dad. He had not seen anything, but he was in McDonnell Douglas and involved with Avro Aero. Your mom never seen anything, or
No.
never?
She's never talked about. She never was. We come from a paranormal family, past, present, right? And I have a grandmother who is a very intuitive woman, but she's never talked about it. My aunts have told me about stuff,
Okay.
but my mom never really told me stuff. She kind of shunned it away from me.
Okay. Now we're on to question number 3. James, knowing what you know about the UFO phenomenon, would you say that the mainstream media is doing their job, doing enough to actually look into the UFO question and report back to the public any answers that they find?
Okay, when you start a job, you go for the job interview, right? They see if you get qualified to do the job.
Right.
And if they like you, they might say to you, okay, look, we're going to give you some further testing. Maybe a physical test, maybe a drug test, maybe whatever test they want to give you, right? So if you want the job, you're going to go and do that, right?
Right.
Correct? Right. So after you pass that, and then you have a third interview or whatever it is, where they say, okay, look, here's our rules, here's our regulations, here's our confidentiality disclosure,
Right.
or agreements.
Agreements, yeah.
Okay. And then they make you sign certain things.
Yeah.
Okay. So I work for many companies, and they're not major companies. They're just like, ordinary companies. But I've worked for a paint manufacturer. They said, well, look, if you have any ideas that just you happen to think of while under the employment of us,
Yeah.
those ideas
Belong to us.
belong to us.
Yeah, I know.
all right? So you sign off on that, right?
Yeah.
So when you sign off on your whatever you're signing, okay, you're agreeing to whatever they're putting out towards you.
Right.
Right. So at any given time, they can just dangle something in front of your face and go, remember the thing you signed?
You can't talk about
we
this.
can turf you anytime we want because it's a conflict of interest.
All right. Well, my friend, I wish you a safe journey.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks. That's it for this week.
Up there.
All right. That's pretty good, I think.
Wow.